Alright guys, I got a lot of people requesting that I do a review of my new Blue Label Gen 5 Glock 17 LE. Now this is going to be a pre-shooting review, because guys, honestly, I don't think there's anything that would happen if you seen me standing there shooting this gun compared to any other Glock. The only way that it would be beneficial for me to shoot this in front of the camera right now would be if there was some issues with it. But I didn't have the time to get this out yet. I will do some shooting videos with it. I'm going to try to real soon. But for right now, we're going to do a pre-shooting review. I'm just going to go over the differences, what I think of the differences, and like the first thing that catches your eye. And then I'm going to compare this to some other generation Glocks, show you some differences. And I've got the receipt. This is a Blue Label law enforcement Glock. And I'm going to show you exactly on the receipt the price I paid for this. And you can compare it to what Glocks cost normally for civilians where you live and at your gun stores. So, a couple of things that stood out to me when I first opened the box and held the gun. The two things that stood out the most, which one of them may not show through on camera as good as I'd like it to, but the DLC coated slide. I really, really like that finish. If it holds up and stays as nice as it is, I like this better than what we used to call the frying pan texture on the slides. We used to call that like the Teflon looking texture of the older Glocks. I like this better. It's a deeper, richer black color. It's more of a glossy, not too far off base from what all the other standard Glock black slides are. We'll compare. I've got some other Glocks. Trust me, I got some other Glocks that I'm going to bring out. But the DLC coated slide, and of course the no finger grooves on the front strap. That's the first two things that you notice about this gun when you pick it up. There's also a lot of little things I like, little things that it's attention to detail. I do like the orange follower. Don't ask me exactly why. I had some people that asked me, why do you like that so much? Just something about it. And I did notice that if you hold the gun at the right angle, under the light, you can see the orange follower through this little tiny crack in the frame if you hold the light above it just right or use a flashlight. It's kind of cool, but you would never be able to do that with the black follower. So I do like the orange follower. And the front of the slide is beveled. I like that look better. It breaks up the blocky look of the gun. Still love all my other generations that I have, but it breaks up the blockiness of the slide. Also here, the front dust cover is rounded, but there is just maybe a hair that sticks out. It doesn't bother me at all. The contour now of the dust cover, the way it rounds over, I think that's very nice. And the way the slide rounds over. I don't know if this is going to help with holstering, and I do not believe in actuality that it will. I think it's just kind of a selling point to say this will help with reholstering. I think it's more of an aesthetics thing, and I like it. Now mine, as you'll see, doesn't say USA, it says Austria on it. So that's kind of neat. It does have ambidextrous slide release. Now guys, I don't use that. That's not the way that I train. But if I were to use it, I have found that unlike some guns that I've messed with or owned or have that have the ambi slide lock, you can do it with your thumb. I have definitely had several and do own several handguns where when this is locked back, when you try to press down on your ambi slide lock, it's almost impossible. I mean, I'm like, shaking almost on some guns trying to get that to go down, believe it or not. But with this, it's no problem, and it's getting even smoother as I use it. So if you're a left-handed guy and you do use the slide lock to drop your slide, this will definitely work for you. And as for me as well, if there was ever a situation where I needed to do that, for whatever reason, it's there for me, and I do like that option. But as for me, I'm one of those over-the-top kind of guys where you grip, strip, and rip like that. But, like I said, there could be circumstances where I needed that. So I do like that being there. There's also some changes on the inside. well, one in particular that I'm going to show you that's definitely different, but matches another gun from Glock that came out recently, and we'll talk about that once I get into the inside of this guy. But it does have this mag release right here that can be switched to the other side. I like this square, a little bit bigger mag release, and I like how that is in these guns. Now, it does have what they call a flared magazine well, and guys, to be honest with you, practicing with this gun in the house and dry fire drills, I don't, as of yet, find much of a difference when I'm reloading mags. I can kind of, you know, slam it in there and see a little bit of a difference, but it's not anything that I would consider to be huge with this little bit of a flaring down here. I do like it, though. Like I said, it's another aesthetic thing. I like the way it looks with this being flared out like this. I've got no problems with that at all. The rounded cut in the front, I could take it or leave it. I don't mind it being there, and as you guys know, I've got a video up giving you guys shooting tips. It's an older video, it's got a lot of views, but I don't use my little finger. I let the pressure up on my little finger because little fingers cause you to milk the grip if you squeeze when you shoot. These two fingers pull straight back. The little finger causes you to milk the grip. Real quick demonstration. These two fingers pull straight back to the palm. Only if you introduce the little finger and you squeeze during shooting will that cause you to milk the grip, which puts shots down low, or low right, low left. So I got a video on that. I'm not going to go over all that right now, but a lot of you guys will know what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've missed. The undercut, I don't know if this is any different. We'll compare that when I get out some other Glocks here. We'll take a look at that. The trigger pull has a little bit of a different feel, and I'm going to tell you guys why here in a minute when I take the gun apart. But it feels the same weight to me as the other Glocks. I can't see any weight difference in that, you know, in that area there. So before I take the gun apart, let's go ahead and look over the receipt for those that want to know. Like I said, this is a blue label law enforcement Glock 17. So let me go ahead and fold up some of the info here and I will show you what the deal is. Okay, so here's the receipt. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Glock 17 Gen 5 blue label G5 17 BLK, which means black, and LE for law enforcement. $425. It's a limit of 2 a year, and it starts over at the beginning of the next calendar year. So that's what I paid for the law enforcement blue label Glock, is $425. So you can, you know, if you want to look into that, just look up what do you need to qualify on Google for blue label Glocks, and you can look that up. I fall under two categories to get blue label Glocks. There's two different reasons why I have the ability to get blue label Glocks. So let's move on from there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and definitely first zoom out, and we're going to go ahead and drop the slide off of this guy for you, and I'm going to go ahead and show you something underneath, which is kind of surprised me that they did this, but it seems to be fine. So we'll have to see, you know, what it's like when I shoot it, when I get out and shoot it. Okay, if you see the safety plunger right here, that's the striker block. That's one of the 3 internal safeties on a Glock. If you want me to do another video about the internal safeties on a Glock, I'll do one separately. So what happens is as you pull the trigger, this little, we'll call it a bird's head, this little peak right here rises up as the trigger's pulled. And that pushes your striker block up and out of the way of the striker coming forward, like this. Now, the other ones are just a round, a perfectly circular, like a little cylinder in there. This one is like the Glock 43. That was one of the changes they did when they made the Glock 43, was they have it like that in there. Now, I do feel a little bit of a difference, and I'm sure once I clean this gun and lube it, it's still got all the copper grease on it, I'm sure it'll feel good to me too, and I'll probably do the 25-cent trigger job. That's one good thing about a Glock, guys, is the more you shoot it, the smoother it gets. It's rare with equipment and mechanical things that you ever find something like that. It's kind of a unicorn to find something that the more you use it, the better it gets. Well, with a Glock, you actually would get the 25-cent trigger job by shooting enough rounds through it. 5,000, 10,000, whatever, 3,000, you'd feel it. So actually shooting a Glock makes it better. And now I'm going to show you, we'll talk about the barrel. Now, this is what they call Glock marksman barrel. Now, you probably won't see any difference in accuracy because Glocks are more accurate than most people are. Some people will see a difference in accuracy if you're really a good shooter, and it may help you just a little bit. It may give you that little bit of extra accuracy that you need. Maybe get your shots just a little bit closer when you're trying to shoot a good group. But this is called the marksman barrel, and one of the neatest things about this barrel is for a lot of reloaders, this is totally safe now to shoot lead or reloaded bullets through. It's got the standard rifling in it, not the polygonal rifling. I actually like the polygonal rifling. It always seemed to work good for me. But, you know, I'll have to test that out when I shoot this with this barrel in it. This also has a DLC coating. It's a darker, richer, more glossy black color. And like I said, definitely, if anything, it's not going to hurt your accuracy. If anything, it could maybe help improve it a little bit. It just will remain to be seen and depends on each individual. And you know, that's about all I can tell you on that. Here's the markings on the top of the barrel. It says 5 on there, which is kind of cool. So now what I want to do, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and get some other Glocks out here on the table, some of my other G17s, and I'll show you some little bit of different comparisons, and we'll talk about it. Be right back with you. All right, guys, here is 5 of my Glock 17s, and as you can see, there's different varieties on the table. I'll go over them quickly. The first one up there that has a stipple job done, I really don't like that stipple job. It's a real fine micro dot stipple, and I'm not real fond of it, just to let you know that right off the bat. But that's a G17 with a Lone Wolf extended slide and a Lone Wolf extended threaded barrel. Second one down is the full FDE from factory, Glock Gen 4, 5B Gunworks, customized. The one under that, third one down, is the Larry Vickers Gen 3 Glock 17. And then we have just a standard Gen 4 Glock 17, and then the new Gen 5 Glock 17. Now, I don't know if it's going to show on camera, but you can definitely see right off the bat the differences in the slides. Now, let me go ahead and try to give you guys some close-ups. And I have the light at a certain angle, so hopefully you can see. Now, this is the Gen 4, and this is the Gen 5 on the bottom. Okay, see the differences in the slide? And this is a newer Gen 4 as well. So see the difference in the slide colorings? And one's not in the shadow. I got the light coming from the side right on both of these. So there's kind of a difference in the slide coloration. Let me show you with a Gen 3 Vickers as well. See the difference in the slide? I don't know if it's going to show up on camera well enough, but there is enough of a difference. As you can see, so that's one of the things. You know, then of course you would have your finger grooves right here, like on this Gen 4. I like these. I like the Gen 4s too, guys. I like all of them. I like the Gen 3. Love my Larry Vickers Gen 3 with that texturing on there. Never need a stipple job on this gun. I love this gun. But yeah, it's very, very, very nice. Also another Gen 4 5B Gunworks. And then of course, like I said, my 17 with the Lone Wolf upper on it. So just wanted to give you guys a little comparison. And now what I'll do is I will show you underneath the slide the difference in the striker blocks between the Gen 5 and the Gen 4. Okay, so here is the striker block on the Gen 4, and here it is on the Gen 5. Let me put those together side by side, and you can see on the Gen 5 the way it's curved. Now, for me, on my Glock 43, I think it produces a little bit smoother pull, just a little bit different feel to it, but it'll remain to be seen till I get some shooting in on this one and get that old copper grease cleaned off and shoot it. But that's the difference in the striker safety. I had a person message me and ask me if I'd be getting rid of all my other generation Glocks and switching over completely to the Gen 5, and there's no way I'll ever be doing that. I still love the Gen 3. Gen 1s, Gen 2. The only thing is when you get down to the Gen 1s and you don't have a rail, you know, and things like that, there's a little bit of a difference there. Nice to have a rail to put your light on and things like that. And let me go ahead and throw the Surefire X300 onto the new one for you. We'll see. I've never even done this myself, so we'll see what that looks like. So there's the new one with a Surefire X300 Ultra on it. But yeah, I would never get rid of all of my guns for the Gen 5. There's not really, to be honest, there's not really that much of differences, except for the removal of the finger grooves. Other than that, everything's pretty subtle. Now, you want to talk about triggers on Glocks, and believe it or not, guys, you could test some of these guns at the store before you buy them, because a lot of Glocks do have a little bit of a different feel in the trigger when you buy them, and it is true. If you ask anybody that knows about guns, especially that knows about Glocks, they'll tell you that there's subtle differences, and like I said, when you shoot a Glock, it does smooth out more as well. But that Overwatch precision trigger right here, this is one of the best upgrades I did to any Glock. And this is the one I shot the glow stick right through the center on the first shot from about 30 feet away. I got it on video. Overwatch precision. And the reason is because not only is it NP3 nickel plated, but it is also wide. It's wider, and it gives you a feeling that it's less poundage, even though it's not. It feels like there's less poundage there when you pull it because of the wideness of the trigger, the wide blade. Now, on a stock Glock, the best trigger I have out of all these and all my other Glocks is going to definitely be the Larry Vickers Gen 3. I don't know if I just happened to get one and was lucky enough that the trigger was like that. I've never even done a 25-cent trigger job to it. And that Gen 3 Vickers has a trigger that I can kick almost every time, and that front sight won't move when I'm dry fire practicing. I don't know if there's any difference to it. If there is, they're not talking about the difference. I don't know though. Maybe I just got lucky. But definitely for an out-of-the-box trigger, that Vickers is the best one. And then for an upgraded trigger, that Overwatch Precision is the best one that I've tried. So there you go, guys. Here with the Gen 5 Glock 17. Hope you guys liked the video. And I'll get some shooting with this. I got rounds I've been stocking up on. I've got lax ammo. And I'm going to take this out and I'm going to put this through the ringer. Alright guys, until next time, this is H4T, and I am out.